Welcome. I'd like to open the meeting for Parks, Recreation, and Community Service for April 2nd. Can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Fogel.
Here.
Commissioner Sinanian is absent. Commissioner Sharkey.
Here.
Commissioner Khan.
Here.
President Ward.
Here. Okay. Let's see. First item.
Introductions and presentations. Introduction of Dave Ahern, Project Management Administrator.
Yes, Commissioners, it is my pleasure to announce a new hire, and not really new. Dave has been around a long time in this city, a lot longer than I have. Dave Ahern, who is now our new Capital Projects Administrator. Just a brief history on Dave for people who don't know him. His experience includes, recently he was the Deputy Director of the Redevelopment Agency. He was the Manager of the city's Economic Development, Senior Supervisor of the Housing Development and Preservation Program. He was a Senior Analyst for the City Planning Department, a Supervisor of the Neighborhood Services Code Enforcement Section, and he also worked in the GWP construction arm. Dave has extensive experience in project management and in the city entitlement permitting process. He also has extensive experience with restoration of historically significant buildings. Dave is active in the community, as you all know. He served on steering committees for Relay for Life event the past 4 years, and he was a co-chair. Not quite chair yet, then, I guess. He hasn't made it yet to chair.
Working my way up.
Working his way up. He's also very active with Jewel City Kiwanis. Dave has a Master of Organizational Development from Azusa Pacific University, professional certification in construction management from UCLA, and a Bachelor of Science in Organizational Behavior from the University of San Francisco. And again, he is going to be serving as the Capital Projects Administrator. We are really looking forward to working with Dave. He is a real go-getter. I've known him for the past 4.5 years in the city structure, and things do get done with Dave. So it's going to be a great partnership, and it's nice to have Dave on board.
Great. Welcome to the department. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, glad you added to this team. It's try to get a lot accomplished here.
Got a lot on his plate.
Yeah.
It does.
Thank you very much. Next item.
Earth Day programs.
And I would like to invite Joanne Vendito up to the podium. Joanne is our Community Services Manager who oversees our youth programs and community centers facilities. Joanne took the initiative and did a really nice job on working with the staff to incorporate various activities to celebrate Earth Day at the various facilities, also working with the senior centers as well to get them involved. So she's here just to give you a little bit of a highlight as to what we have planned for this year. Joanne?
Thanks. Earth Day is April 22nd. And if you Google Earth Day, you can pull up about 700 plus websites to decide what you want to do on Earth Day. So families, organizations, groups of all kinds are up there on that website with all sorts of ideas on how to celebrate the earth and the environment and recycling and what they can do and all year long. Well, our department has decided to come up with some activities so we can educate and we can inform and we can provide some fun along the way to recycle and bring about a good time. So we're going to celebrate Earth Month with a variety of activities with both our youth, our teens, and our senior programs in Glendale. I'm just going to give you an example of a few. You have the report that's there. And for youth activities, we are offering some free programs with our Park and Play. Park and Play is going to do a planting project over at Windsor Park, April 21 through 25. And on April 22, they're going to have a green party to celebrate Earth Day. We don't know what's planned yet, but I know there's green punch involved. So they should have a pretty good time. That's 2:30 in the afternoon. We have, after-school education and safety over at Pacific Park. They are doing a project along with Maple Park with Vaughn's and Albertson's Market. Vaughn's on Glendale and Albertson's on Central, and those stores are donating paper bags And the kids, for the next few weeks, are going to be decorating those bags with Earth Day slogans and pictures of the Earth and all types of environmentally conscious type messages. And they're going to go ahead and, on Earth Day, April 22, both Vons and Albertsons are going to distribute those bags to their customers with their groceries inside. So it's kind of a neat little collaboration we're doing with the stores. That's going to be a fun project for all of us. Let's see. Spring break for kids. We have just regular activities on the parks. Over at Spar Heights, we're going to do a spring break for kids with activities planned for every single day. So they're going to be doing a poster contest, they're going to build a miniature volcano, and they're going to talk about what's the importance of the volcano and what it does to the environment, and then some craft projects, and they're going to do the poster contest. They're going to have a winner at the end, so that's going to be kind of fun. That's April 14th through 18th, so they're going to celebrate Easter week. We then have our teen drop-in program. I'm a little out of order, but I'm trying to keep it in youth mode here. The Teen Drop-In at Maple Park is a program that we have on a regular basis, and they're going to work on environmentally friendly and recycling chit-chats and discussions, and they're going to do a recycling project. The idea being, teens, bring your recyclables to Maple Park and drop them off in the bins that we're going to provide for you right now in April. And come Earth Day, April 22, we're going to have a pizza party, because whatever we recycle, that's the money going to the pizza. So we got to get a lot of recyclables in there. So let's see if it's worth our while to recycle over there. Seniors, we have a lot of senior activities planned. At the Adult Recreation Center, we're going to have some workshops on recycling. Our friends with Glendale Water and Power are going to come and give us some talks on electrical waste disposal that have to do with computers and televisions. They're also going to talk about how to do household disposal for paint, batteries, fluorescent tubes, those kind of items. So thank you, Glendale Water and Power, for helping us with that project. They're going to come on Earth Day, April 22. It's going to be 11:30, and seniors are welcome to stay for lunch afterwards with our senior nutritional lunch program. Another activity we have a few more at Spar Heights. Spar Heights is going to be styrofoam. This is Styrofoam Free Month at Spar Heights. We're not going to use any styrofoam cups. We all have coffee all the time. No styrofoam cups. Seniors are encouraged to bring their mugs, and we're using cups that we have borrowed from a couple of the other recreation centers, and it's going to be styrofoam free. Don't use styrofoam cups. Bad for the environment. Let's see. Oh, the seniors on Earth Day from SPAR are going to walk to Verdugo Park, and along the way they're taking some trash bags with them, and they're going to recycle and pick up trash along the way. They're not going to clean the park, but they're going to recycle the street ways along the way. So they're going to do that on Earth Day. And I think that's it. We've got a whole bunch of other things planned. There's recycling going on at all the different facilities. We're looking forward to a lot of kids getting involved and getting educated, as well as seniors. The seniors are looking forward to the workshops that are being planned for them. So something everyone can do is there's a national TV off night. It's TV off, no TV. Pick one night a week, the week of April 21 to 27. Shut your television off and have a family dinner and visit, catch up on things, and possibly play board games. So that's National TV Night during April 21 and 27. We have the opportunity to think green all year long. We all talked about paper and plastic. Paper is what we want to try to go to. Plastic is a petroleum-based product, so we're dealing with oil in this case. If plastic bags go into the landfill, it takes 1,000 years to decompose in that landfill. So something we can all turn to. Wash your clothes in cold water and cut down on dryer time. That's how we can all contribute this month during April. So if we could all focus a little bit in April, everybody could contribute some way, we'll have an opportunity. So these are a lot of the activities that are coming up. There are more. We're going to put them on our activities page on the City of Glendale Department website of what's coming up, upcoming activities, and if the public wants any more information about all the different activities we have, this list will be provided for them, and they can call me, Joanne Vendito, at 818-548-3793. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's definitely a good cause. I hope everybody does something for the environment that week and that month. Okay, let's see, oral communications, do we have any?
I have none.
All right, let's move on to the consent items.
Approval of minutes of the commission regular meeting held on March 5th, 2008.
Has everybody had a chance to review it?
Sure.
Any changes, or? All right, do we have a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'd make that motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Okay. Let's have roll call.
Commissioner Whipple?
Yes.
Commissioner Sinanian is absent. Commissioner Sharkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Khan?
Yes.
President Ward?
Yes. Move with that approved. Okay, let's move on our business agenda. Let's see. Action item, I guess, is the float design.
Yeah, and what I will do is I'll give you a brief background on it and then call up Bill Lofthouse, who is the president of Phoenix Floats. As you know, every year we bring to you a rendering for the annual Rose Parade. This year, the parade's theme is Hats Off to Entertainment. This would be, I think Glendale has had a float in the parade since 1915, so we are one of the longest continuous cities who've had a float in the parade. I'd like to call Bill Lofthouse up. He can talk about the rendering, but I also want to call up some of the Glendale Rose Float Association members, Joyce Sokoloff, who's the president, Jerry Deal, Kathy Lefkowitz, the Red Baron, who is hiding behind the board, which is Joyce's husband, Jim Sokoloff, and Bob Carnahan. Yeah. If you guys can come up, and Bill, can you come up and do the presentation on the float itself? And we do need the commission's approval to go to the city council and get
Well,
final
last year's
approval.
was fantastic, and all the awards, it was...
You know, I can't tell you how many times I get a call from the newspaper, I get a call from the Glendale citizens. Why can't you use the Alex Theater? Well, you know, it really fits the theme this year. And so consequently, rather than have thrown it away over the years, it's an ideal subject matter. We reserved the subject matter. They do what they call a theme draft at the Tournament of Roses. We reserved it in the first round for Phoenix decorating because what we wanted was not necessarily the thought of the Alex Theater, which we did have, but it was the fact that it was the theater, the fact that it was the subject matter of what it was. So, and then we had a couple of our designers that had come up with theater themes, and we threw all those away when we got this one approved. And then coincidentally, last night we go through what we call a DV meeting, which is design variance. I can't officially have it until they approve it, which they did last night. I brought in a whole bunch, and everybody there was surprised. They all live in the area. They all knew the Alex Theater. They all thought it was a great idea. I owe a lot of it to the committee. The Red Baron helped me beyond because he sent us a lot of stuff through email that Michelle used. It's really not. He came up with another great idea. Was the back of the float will be the old theater curtain, so it won't just be a blank wall. It'll have some flavor to it. There's still all kinds of potential. This is what we call a sketch, or what Michelle, your designer, calls a sketch. If you approve it, then we will add the title, which, by the way, was approved as sneak preview. And then we'll add the City of Glendale on the bottom. This is probably approaching 30 feet. We have to go. It had to be. I drove over here last week to drive by the Alex Theater and looked at that tall thing. Without that height, it would look silly. So there's really all kinds of potential. And I'll talk with the committee as we go along on some other thoughts and ideas that we have. But it'll only be embellished and get better, in my opinion, anyways. But of all the floats, and I think you've won 4 out of 5 years.
We did win 4 out of 5 years, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you have to attribute that. I can't tell you how the previous Parks and Rec people
It's the new director.
busted have busted their face.
That was our thought,
prize.
too.
Because everybody likes to win, including the other cities that want to know who am I paying off because Glendale keeps winning. So it's fun on top of it. But this year's subject matter is great. And so what I'm presenting is sneak preview for your approval.
Fantastic. Now, is that going to be an actual car on the deck, or are you
No,
going to
we'll
fabricate it?
construct it, has to be decorated. Everything you see is flowers,
Okay.
dried or alive.
But you'll have spotlights that will actually function, or they'll just
No, they won't
represent?
function, they'll be just stylized. From the standpoint of not to hurt your feelings,
Right.
you don't have the budget to go. You could move them, I don't think it's relevant to the design.
No.
This is, I think, an impact. It's borderline, I would say, wow, that type of thing.
First of all, I love it. I love it, and congratulations on this year's, or last year's. You said here that, is it still tentative, the sneak preview, or is that,
But
it's-
I reserved
Oh,
it as
that's-
sneak preview.
Okay, oh, I see, okay.
Yes.
Because I was at the second opening, and it was a splashy opening night, and it was all that. In fact, even when I looked at it, where the woman's hand is up, I thought that was a hat starting to come up, which is Hats Off, which is the theme of the parade this year. It's perfect, it's just wonderful. I love it. It's another winner.
Do you like every float you build? We build 20 floats. I don't like them all.
No,
This one's fun.
yeah.
And the fun
Well,
ones
we were-
you sort of like, and this is one that fits that category.
But you've liked every Glendale float you've built, Bill.
And it's easier when you've done so
Yeah.
much.
It's gonna have
It's when you're going to walk in with your hands behind your back and be more humble about it. And I have to do that at some of the cities because sometimes their message is just too heavy.
We were fortunate. We finally got the
Yeah,
Alex
yeah.
with the entertainment.
Everybody doesn't have this
No,
particular
no.
icon of the Alex Theater.
When I talked to Joyce this weekend about it, and I asked why sneak preview as opposed to opening night, and what Joyce told me is part of the history of the Alex is that they used to have sneak previews there,
okay.
and I think you said that when there was a sneak preview was going to happen, the light on top of the tower would light, and that's why it's known as sneak preview.
Thank you for that history lesson.
Well,
I was
it's
wondering
thank
where
Joyce.
that came from. So,
Jerry has a little
Yeah.
speech.
oh,
He has a little speech on why we picked.
oh,
what we
thank
picked.
you. Okay.
You want
Okay.
it?
Yeah,
So we'll just lead into that.
sneak preview, as Steve said, is what the Alex Theater in the 1930s and 40s. It was a major theater for sneak previews. People want production firms and actors and actresses wanted to see how their movies played to audiences, and they chose the Alex Theater. So I wasn't there back then, but I guess it was a big deal. But two of the most notable movies that were first shown at test audience in Glendale was National Velvet with Elizabeth Taylor and Bing Crosby's Going My Way. And there were many, many more, but those are the two most notable ones. So that's a little bit of the history behind the name that we've chosen for the float, which is Sneak Previews. So we're excited about it, and we kind of the most excited thing I am is we got to use the Alex Theater. So that's
Yeah.
been something we talk about every year. It just never fit. This year it fit. So thank you.
It's all tying together.
Perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. Brings Glendale home
Yeah.
on this one.
Thank you. It's wonderful.
And again, I think the cost of the float is about $90,000. It is going to be increased, I think, for this year by 5% this year and 5% next year. We do have it in our budget or in our budget request. So
And the Alex Group will support fundraising and everything else as far as to make it a reality.
Well, hats off to all of you.
Great, great.
I've got nothing but good things and accolades for the full committee and the people that were involved. I'm I'm saying a lot. I hope I don't come in with my hands behind my back next year.
You don't have to worry.
There's no pressure.
Well, no, it's because of George that we've been winning, so it's actually George. George is the one that gets the pressure.
Only common denominator.
Want me to make the call again? Yeah, you're going to win another one.
Okay.
Is that it? The connections in Pasadena. Fantastic. Well,
I'll move it.
yeah, I think we need an action.
I move 5A1.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call to approve the float design.
Commissioner Wolfvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Sinani is absent. Commissioner Sharkey?
Yes.
Commissioner Khan?
Yes.
President Ward?
Yes, I think it's a great decision this year.
Thank you.
I have
Thank you very
the
much.
date as May 6th. 6th. City Council.
City Council.
Okay.
It was changed from 7th to 6th.
7th is a Wednesday, yeah.
Well, I think you're going to find their support also. Very good.
Like I said, I'll walk in very boldly and feel good about it. But anyways, we know you have a choice, regardless. We've been successful. The success is because you work with us and we work with you. And so consequently, we say thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Well, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Very nice presentation. Okay, I think we move on to reports.
Reports, update of improvement projects at various park sites, Dunsmore Community Building at Dunsmore Park, and Joe Bridges Clubhouse at Glen Oaks Park.
Yes, Commissioners, I'd like to call up Audrey Gold-Nazarian, who is the project manager for the Dunsmore and Glen Oaks Park community buildings. I think Audrey given a report last month, but since that time, we've found some additional problems with the building, specifically Dunsmore, that we feel that we should let you know, give you, show you some pictures of, some photos of what Audrey has found out there. Of course, it's going to cost us much more than what we anticipated, and we'll try to figure out where we get that money from in our CIP, but it is important for you to see and for the community to see what we've unearthed over there.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and President Ward. I'm back to talk about this project, which involves 5 sites. And the title of the project is Improvements at Various Park Sites. It includes New York Park Restroom Building, Glendale Park Restroom Building, Pelanconi Park Restroom Building, and the 2 community buildings, Dunsmore and Glen Oaks community buildings. Currently, the first 3 are complete. We were here last month reporting on the completion of the 3 restrooms. And beginning from the history of the project, TLD Construction Incorporated was awarded the contract on July of 2007. And the cost of all projects combined is about $1.9 million, including project management and soft costs. The scope of work for all project sites included ADA and Title 24 compliance work and basic general renovation of the buildings. We issued the notice to proceed in September of 2007. Construction, as I mentioned, is complete at Glorieta, New York, and Pelanconi Parks, the restroom buildings. I would like to update you on the Dunsmore Community Building next. The view that you are looking at is after exterior demolition was begun, during which the contractor uncovered some rotted wood siding at the eastern edge of the building, all the way down to where it turns the corner. And obviously, this concerned all of us, and so this involved a structural issue. So we retained TMAD structural engineers to come out and take a look at this condition. And this is a close-up view of the rotted wood that we discovered.
if you look a little further towards the right, you can see a doorway, and under the doorway, the wood siding continues. So the whole thing, the whole wood siding was buried under about an 18-inch high sill, which was only protected by a piece of very thin sheet metal, and that had already rotted and rusted. So TMAD structural engineers were called to the site to provide a remedy for and provide repairs options, and the repair involved shoring of the building. That way they could work on removing the rotted portions to fill, to actually extend the stem wall with concrete. And during this work, when they completed the exterior demolition, the exterior shoring, they went on to shore the interiors. And this is a view of the interior shoring at that same side. And what happened was they removed the drywall, and we discovered that the wall at this side was slanting outward. And when we examined the other side of the building, we discovered the same thing was happening on the other side. So essentially, the walls were slanting outward this way, a couple of inches. They were no longer plumb. Again, we called the structural engineer, and after reviewing the conditions, they preliminarily determined that there may be an issue with the ridge beam, which in their view was deflecting. And since then, we've went on, and they've issued a statement that in their view it is no longer safe to go on with the repairs, and they would like to stop at this point and evaluate the building before we move forward and before we go too far into the construction. We sort of took a step back to examine the building as a whole. We're currently in the process of doing that for Dunsmore. This is a close-up view of the cripple walls at that same location. If you look closely, you'll see the slanting of the framing up there. So according to the structural engineer, we have several defects. It's not just located to one area. And they have recommended, as I mentioned, to stop the remodeling process and until we can evaluate the building. This is a view of the restroom floors at Glen Oaks Community Building. We experienced a slightly lesser sort of degree of structural issues here at this site. What happened here is that the restroom floors do not have a sloping drain. And when that happens, during the maintenance of these rooms, when staff hoses down during cleaning, water pools. And so eventually it finds its way into the framing of the framing members, wood framing members. And this view shows the men's restroom, and it shows that it's rotted out and it needs to be addressed. When we removed the tile at the walls, we noticed that there was no substrate, there was no drywall or any kind of a cement board or anything, so there was some kind of a fiber board there, and that also is an issue that we are working to address. When the structural engineer issued on March 18th a statement advising us to stop the work at Dunsmore, what the department thought would be a good idea is to stop at both sites and evaluate both buildings. And so we called the structural engineer, and they went out to Glen Oaks first because the degree of the issues were slightly less over there. And they have looked at it, and there are issues. These are very old buildings, and they're not to today's code. Obviously, there are some rotted wood members and such. But we have reason to believe, we've done some exploratories at the mud sill areas. We have reason to believe that this building is in relatively good shape. And so what we would like to do is keep Dunsmore. We're going to still continue the evaluation process at Dunsmore. We're not complete with that process, but we have completed the Glen Oaks evaluation, and at this point we are in the process of making a decision to address the two sites. That is basically, at this moment, that's where we are.
Okay, so Glen Oaks looks possibly like you can do some further work and complete and keep the building in the frame and just address those issues with the drainage and the rotten. But Dunsmore may be more of a structural rebuild.
Yeah, at this point, we're not sure how much more work Dunsmore is going to need. Every time we look at one portion of it, we uncover more work that needs to be done.
Is the history of the building something that was kind of built in-house or something? Is that why we're finding these things that were kind of buried and covered up with, walls and stuff?
We have reason to believe that there was an older structure where the new structure that you can see today is, but they failed to demolish it completely. They kept portions of it for, I'm not sure whatever reason, and they built the new building right over it. They did not remove the wood siding. I can't.
So that was structurally underneath, so it just, So, with all the codes nowadays, to really be able to build it properly, you may have to raise it and go to a new building.
Yeah, I'm not even sure code back then would have allowed the way they put that against the, the soil. I'm just not sure that was up to code either.
They backfilled beyond the building structure, above the footing, so above the cripple wall. That's why you have about 3 foot of backfill, and the mud.
It just rotted out. Have we started to look, or in your evaluation, you will look at costs to replace and what everything will?
Yes. We're waiting for the evaluation to be completed by the structural engineer, and we will have the contractor, as well as an independent cost estimator, cost out the repairs before we make any kind of a decision.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of decisions, or options, really. One could be do nothing, the other could be tear down, maybe wait for a later date, or tear down, build a whole new facility, maybe it looks like it, but if you should get a new facility, of course that's going to be more costly than repairing it, but at least you get a new facility. So we're not sure. It just depends on what we unearth.
Well, with the budget, if you have to phase it, go ahead.
It may be more costly now, but in the long run, if it's going to, end up having to be repaired over and over and over again, in the long run, I think it might be wiser to consider that if we can find the funding.
But it's mainly, I guess you're waiting for your structural engineer to give the feedback. Maybe it's not that substantial.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, actually, we had a phone conversation a couple of days ago, and what they did was they went actually into the attic of the building, and they observed some wood rot at certain locations, and now they believe that could have been the reason. At this moment, we're not sure exactly what is going on with the entire building, but we're going to wait until we receive the formal report.
Okay, for the walls to open.
They're going to do
Right.
destructive testing on the building, so we'll know.
Okay, well, we'll be glad to hear the results of that and see how it moves forward.
Good luck.
Yeah, I know these are very dear community buildings for those communities in the parks that use them, so.
And we do rent this out, I think. The revenue is about $30,000 a year from this building in terms of rentals.
That's, my kids have had meetings in these buildings in the past, and so I know that they're used a lot. It's something that we do need to repair and not just, put caution tape around it and wait. So it's something that we're going to have a action plan on as we
We're
find
aware
out
of
the
that.
information.
We are trying our best. Luckily, we have an excellent structural engineer on board. They're on our annual for this kind of a thing. They are ready to start right away. They have been working on this. We're doing our best to keep it moving.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the news, even though it's not good news, but
Sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
it's okay. It's better to know than not be surprised. Okay, the next report is...
Monthly activity reports, recreation and community services.
And I'll be relatively brief because many of these items are regular, repetitive items for your report. But I did want to highlight that we do keep track of our volunteers on an annual basis. And you can see from the chart that we've provided for you, there was approximately a total of 8,257 volunteer hours that various volunteers provided their time and effort at a number of our facilities and programs, and the estimated total dollar value of that is approximately $163,000 in volunteer time and effort. So, again, we want to thank everyone who's come out and helped volunteer at any number of our programs, and if anyone is looking for volunteer opportunities, they can contact our main office at 548-2000. Then the only other highlights I want to proceed with, and then I'm open to questions, are the 3-on-3 basketball tournament. Just to highlight there that we held at Maple Park. Is not so much that we're shooting for revenue here, but more opportunities for kids. We try to do this in March to correspond with March Madness. The kids are always into basketball at that time. It was another successful event, and they give out trophies and awards and various gift cards to the winners. And then our Easter extravaganza event was held on March 15th this year. Another wonderful event. It was probably the highest attended event we've had at Easter time. Pictures with the Easter Bunny, Easter egg hunts, crafts, all kinds of good stuff. So that's an annual event we provide to the public on a yearly basis. And then our customer service office monthly revenue report and Civic Auditorium monthly revenue report are included in your packet. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
I was at the Easter egg. It was like you crossed a line in Verdugo Park, and it's the happiest place. It was so well run. It was so well run. The kids were so happy. Only the parents were misbehaving.
Yeah. That unfortunately does seem to be the case
But it
on
was,
certain occasions.
It was a great time and a great day.
It's always a really fun event.
I laughed a
and-
lot, and they're all with their little baskets. So it was probably the happiest place in Southern California that day.
Well, thank you for coming out and
Sure.
supporting
That was
us.
fun.
Is that, George, is that you in the picture?
In the Easter Bunny suit, or?
It was a
Could
great
be that
bunny.
police officer who keeps ticketing people out there.
It was a great bunny.
Yes, we did update our bunny costume last year, and also we're looking at purchasing a Frosty the Snowman costume for our Winter Wonderland program for next year, so we'll have more characters out there to advance, but but lots of good stuff for the community as another successful, fun event, so.
It was.
Great, great. Well, I know last month with our time state, we didn't have a chance to get to the report, so glad you could fill us in. Bring us
you.
up to date. Okay, the next item?
CIP projects.
Brittany has all the fun with the the recreation.
Recreation stuff.
And I'll be glad to give this month's report and allow Dave to do it next month, since he's getting acclimated at this point, and he certainly can jump in if I miss anything. But I'll try to be brief. In the report, a couple of highlights. Cedar Mini Park, we're preparing the drawings and specs, and we should go out to bid in June of 2008 this year. So we're moving along there, and it's in good hands. It's in Lila's hands, so it should look fabulous once it's done. I'm a convert now. I've been sold on it.
Because of the restroom, huh?
Because of the restroom, and that was one of the things I was going to mention. Car Park, the restroom is completed at Car Park,
We're gonna visit
and it does look
I
great.
saw the restroom at Car Park. It is everything you said it was.
It is. It is. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I was kidding about it before, but it is.
No, it is.
Maryland Mini Park. You should know we had $1 million in our CIP budgeted for Maryland Mini Park. As you know, we were working with the BMW dealer, and Dave has been instrumental in that. He was there in GRA as the representative working with the BMW dealer. The funding for it was taken and used for purchase, to help purchase Rockhaven as part of an overall greater package that we all pulled together. So at this point, we're really relying on the BMW dealer to come back with a revised proposal to us. His first stab at it wasn't quite working out for him financially. So I think David asked him to come back with a revised proposal, and we're still waiting, I believe, for him to come back with that.
We are. In fact, I spoke to him last week about that, and he's got to put back together some numbers that define what his contribution would be, and essentially the numbers don't work. It's too costly for him as initially proposed, so he's going to look at some alternative ways of designing it and also of funding it and seeing if there's some tax advantages that could then offset his costs for doing it. It's an expensive undertaking. You're looking at about $100,000 per parking space at the original design. You can build underground parking for about $25,000 a space. So it just doesn't make any economic sense in that format. That's what he's going back to reevaluate. And then we have to reevaluate from the public policy standpoint, what is our goal with that park, and what are we willing to live with and trying to achieve. So complicated deal to put together, but really a great business in the community. Nick Lamb, Pacific BMW, is the group we're talking about, involved extensively in all types of philanthropic endeavors in the city, and he's the one that approached us about this deal, so maybe we'll be able to put something together.
Is he really short, Dave, in parking, even after the new facility?
He, as Commissioner Khan, members of the commission, the BMW dealership, as you may know, is a brand-new facility, holds about 600 cars on site, and it's already at capacity. And it just finished construction here a month or two ago. We got a TCO on it. So these new urban auto dealerships just have a different format than the old, car lots that we're used to. Land is too expensive to expand, and they're really pinched between the residential neighborhood and the commercial neighborhood. So the only one left is up, but he's full.
In my understanding, he's not the only one. Others also need additional space for their cars as well.
Absolutely.
Lexus's capacity. Now, with this proposed space, was this going to be on top of the parking structure? Was that the design?
It was going to be the park at street level, and it would be subterranean parking for his vehicles.
I understand.
Beneath the park. And there's some complications in terms of ingress and egress and potential tunnel
pedestrian traffic going in and
ended
out.
up being very expensive, yeah. Okay.
Okay, thanks for the update.
Well, let me just give you a few more. Griffith Manor Park, we had undertaken a master planning process. We halted that about 4 or 5 months ago because we thought the money that we had in that project, which was about $2.5 million from the redevelopment agency, was going to be used for the freeway flyover that they were building. Apparently the bids came in lower than they anticipated, so they gave us that money back. So we've restarted the master planning process again for that community, Griffith Manor.
Good.
Playground equipment replacement, we're going out to bid, or we were approved to go out to bid for the replacement of 6 playgrounds, which was Dunsmore, Glorietta, Glen Oaks, Fremont, Milford, Wilson, and Carr Parks. So we're going to do it all at one time. Each park will take about 2 weeks, We have the equipment right now in storage. I think we've got it over Shoal. And so as soon as that contractor's on board, we'll start, and it'll take about 2 weeks per park. So you'll see 6 new playground equipment.
And you're changing the surfaces, too?
Yeah, well, it will be wood chip. It won't be rubberized material. It'll be all wood chip. Dugmagian Barn, we're kind of on a hold pattern with that because of, escalation costs for the project in terms of the seismic retrofitting of the building, and some building code requirements. There's some issue of whether or not it's going to be assembly space, and if so, it's going to need to have sprinklers, separate restroom, and that type of thing. So I think Dave is going to end up probably talking to the building official and see if there's a way to resolve that. We're looking for more money. There's no general fund money going into that project, and we're not going to really be putting any general fund money into that project. So we're going to go back, talk to the Santa Monica Conservancy, and see if we can extract some more money out of them for the project. You know, they gave the initial $1 million for the project. So that's where we're at with the Duke Barn. Shoal Canyon, we're on schedule. Well, we had scheduled to finish Shoal ball fields, the renovation of the ball fields in February, late February. We're a little behind schedule only because the community wanted some turf infield, at least on one of the fields. And I think we're doing it on 2 fields. So that changed the timeline a little bit. We're also increasing the security lighting at the facility. So we should be finished, I think, end of April at this point. But it will be a nice facility as well once we're done. And one of our crackjack project managers is on it, Shine. So it'll be done on time. If he says it's going to be done on time, it'll be done on time.
Stay on it.
So those are briefly some updates, some highlights of what's going on. Of course, there's much more going on. If you see something in there that you want answers to, I can certainly try to give you an answer to them. But those are the
Any
highlights.
questions or anything from the commission?
Not on this.
Yes, Ralph.
On the barn, if we do go with doing it so that there could be assemblies and meetings in there, would then that be something that we would rent out like our other facilities?
Yeah, I believe so. I think we can hold special events in there. It can probably accommodate over 100 people, just depending on what type of event it is. But we can see special events. I know the Historic Society is very interested in utilizing the barn as well.
That's a great building. Okay, any other comments? All right, thank you very much. Let's see, Park Services and Park Rangers, I guess, the next.
In preparation for the spring season, our maintenance staff did a lot of tree trimming and shrub clearance, and also we renovated several ball fields, and we did a lot of overseeding in the turf grass. We also renovated the trellis at Casa Adobe. There was the wood trellis by the picnic shelter.
Okay.
So that's a major task. Stop by and take a look. It looks
Okay.
Look at that.
I walk that way sometimes.
The other thing you will see our contractors doing is the beautification of Brand Boulevard and the entrances to the city from right off the freeway, with the 134, the 5 freeway, anywhere that the people are going to be coming into the city. We're going to beautify as much of the green space or the medians as possible. So you'll be seeing more color out there. So look for that to happen.
Are these annual beds or perennial or?
Perennial, I think.
Both?
Yeah.
And signage, or is it just going to be plants and material?
No, it's going to be annuals and perennials, I think.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
very nice. This looks good. All right, let's see, any commission staff comments? Do we have any comments for?
I have a few comments.
Okay.
In terms of questions, I actually have a question and some comments. You mentioned about Rockhaven and the city's purchase of Rockhaven, and I know there was some discussion about a library facility being there, but as it relates to parks, is there a park component here on this site, or is that undefined, or?
At this point, we have become the lead agency for Rockhaven. We had probably about 25 to 30 staff people out there last week assessing the site. Right. Public Works, Police Department, Fire, Raymond and his guys, planning, the historic preservation folks. Everyone went out there. We spent a day out there assessing the site, looking at what it needs, in terms of short-term and long-term. We just had a meeting today at 11 o'clock to bring all those pieces together. We still need to do more work, but I assume there will be. We're going to do a master plan process, work with the planning department, do a master plan process, and really involve the community. There are 15 buildings out there, and 14 of those apparently could be significant, historically significant. It was, I guess, it still is, there's plan for a library on the site as well. So We're going to pull all this together. There will be a brief report to the City Council Tuesday on, just securing the facility, making sure it's not a fire hazard, cutting some of the grass, a dead weed, trimming the trees that seem to need trimming, those type of things. And then we'll look at a long-term plan of action for that facility. We do have about $500,000 budgeted in CIP for this year for Rock Haven. But I'm not sure, how much of that will get eaten up with all the things the site needs. It does need fencing. The fence is in terrible shape. The gates are in bad shape. There's trip hazards in there. The buildings are going to need a lot of work as well. But we'll get a full assessment once we take ownership of the building, and that's, I believe, April 16th is when we're going to take ownership.
Is there?
Yeah, so there will be a park component. Yeah, and we are the lead agency at this point.
Sure. Okay. Last time I had mentioned about reviewing projects under LEED or green building techniques and different things like that. And that I also mentioned just not doing that from a staff perspective, but also some type of training or education for us on the commission. Is that something, and that's something that myself, and I mentioned this last time, with a number of the projects that I'm involved in, are being encouraged to do. The sooner that we could get some type of training or some type of information about that, to me, would be better. So I'm hoping that that's something that maybe if you guys internally as staff can discuss and then come back and say, okay, we have some different, educational tools or seminars locally that you should go to or something like that. That'd be very important to me.
Sure, and I think we can actually even pay for the seminars that you all go to as commissioners. I know that Hagop has been going to a few of those and is up on the LEED certification and different levels, and we'll be glad. And I think Dave is still working with some of the other staff as well to get them knowledgeable about it. So we'll include the commission in that.
Okay, that'd be great.
Be great, yeah.
Two more real quick. One is there was something, it also related to a plant list. And there was some discussion that I was having with some folks about different plant material that would be drought resistant. And I don't know if the City of Glendale, and it's more of a question, the City of Glendale has something in permit services or not, where they give out general information to folks that want to know the type of plant material that is drought tolerant. Because we talk a lot about it, but I don't know if there's some specifics. And maybe there's someone in parks that knows these things. I certainly don't.
Sure, we can certainly find out. I'm not sure if GWP does that, but if they don't, that's a service that we certainly can provide. We recently worked with GWP on a plant palette for Glorietta. We were replacing some trees out there, and we were using drought tolerant. And so Peter Verheilig, I always have a hard time with Peter's last name, Verheilig, who's our landscape architect. Peter's been working on that, and I think he does have some plans for that. But it's a great idea for us to actually include a list to the planning department.
Yeah, there's some native plant societies and other groups that would contribute with Southern California species that are, because I've got a little knowledge in this, and what you really have to watch out for is going strictly native, because really Mediterranean-type plants fit the profile for Southern California. So that way you don't have to go strictly with the natives, and they're all pretty much drought tolerant. But to have that palette for just design and common knowledge for the people who want to do their front yard and backyard and be water savvy, that's a good thing to have.
And even at a site like Rock Haven, you can tell the natives from the non-native plant. The non-native plants are dying.
Sure.
The native plants.
If you turn the water off for a while, you'll know which ones are adapting. Yeah.
The last thing I had, I didn't know if I should do it at the beginning or at the end, so I saved it till the end, in terms of welcoming Dave to the department. I had the opportunity to work with Dave, 15-plus years ago, when we were both in the planning department. Actually, I guess I was on the good side then, before I went to the dark side. And he's a great person to have. I mean, obviously, all of you know that. I worked with him in redevelopment as well, and I found him to be very, very helpful, very strong with relationships with the different departments and people in the staff. And I think that's a huge, huge asset to have. So I'm excited that he's in the Parks Department. That way we can scrutinize his activities and watch how well he works.
I was hoping you wouldn't be too nice to him.
Yeah, but you don't have to worry about that. Anyway, I just wanted to recognize him. I'm real excited that he's in this department. I think he's a great guy. Thank you.
Checks in the mail.
Yep.
Actually, I have a ditto with that. When my husband heard Dave's name, I guess you had some dealings with my husband some years ago.
On the Disney project.
Oh, was that?
The Disney Grand Central Creative Campus.
And he just had great things to say. You were wonderful to work with, so he was pretty excited, and that made me excited, so I dittoed. The other thing I wanted to say is yesterday, you didn't mention this.
Oh, the award.
Yesterday, we went to the, George, and the awards luncheon for Glendale Beautiful, and I am proud to say that Adams Square Mini Park won an award, and Spar Heights Community Center, and Sabian represented his team there, and Lila Bitar represented her team. So I was very proud to be there as part of 2 awards yesterday.
That may be the first restroom that gets a beautification award. You know.
Did you have a grand opening?
Rodney over here mentioning it.
Rodney. Well, we're really impressed with our restrooms in the parks.
It's kind of hard to have a grand opening on a restroom.
Yes, well.
Well, we're lucky to have Dave. You know, I think
Absolutely.
it's tremendous to have him on board, and I think he'll raise the level of professionalism in our department. So that's good.
Excellent. Any more comments?
One last one I forgot. Steve is actually receiving an award tomorrow.
Oh.
At the, I think it's the State of the City address. And, well, I don't know all the particulars, and I was waiting to see if you were going to mention it, and you didn't, so.
Well,
it's a little bit about what it is.
The award is from the Chamber of Commerce, and it's for Small Business of the Year, and it's, from what I understand, based on, my volunteerism and activity in the community.
Great.
Things like this commission.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great.
Mr. Commissioner, that's quite a great award. Last year, the award winner was Harry Hall at Milano's Restaurant, so following a fine tradition there.
Thank you, Rodney.
Sure.
Got a blue ribbon
Checks in the
team
mail.
here.
Yeah, exactly. I think.
Yeah. Great.
Go ahead, though.
Mr. President, members of the commission, I just want to highlight some more fun stuff that we have going on in our Recreation Community Services section. In your packet, there's a list of the activities for April, so if there's any highlighted there you'd like to mark on your calendar. But I do want to note for the public that we do have some income tax services, some assistance service programs for seniors that are occurring at our Spar Heights Community Center during the month of April. So if there's any seniors that need last-minute tax assistance, please contact the Spar Heights Community Center at 548-2788, as they are offering those this month. Also, I wanted to mention we are offering our spring day camp this month, and we're making a slight modification to the program. We only received approximately 10 registrations for our program, and it was offered at $95 for the week and included a trip to Moonlight Rollerway and some other activities. Rather than canceling the camp due to low enrollment, what we did is we've simply modified the camp by eliminating the field trip, contacted all the parents, let them know, listen, we don't want to cancel the camp, as then the parents don't have anyone to watch their kids for the week. And I guess due to some of the spring break schedules within the city, not too many folks are offering spring break types of programs. So we are going to eliminate the field trips, scale back the program to just be kind of monitoring, supervising, and providing games on site at Verdugo Park, and in turn we're going to provide a reduction in the fee. That way those parents who were registered still have some place for their kids to go, and then if there are any other folks in the community still looking for last-minute supervision of their children, they can contact our customer service office and get themselves registered. The customer service office is 548-2788, 2184. And then the only last thing to note, because I know a few of you went last year, is our Club Maple anniversary party is this month on the 19th, or excuse me, on April 17th. This is the 19th year of Club Maple. This year's theme is a Hawaiian luau.
Oh, gee.
So mark your calendars. You're
Okay,
all
I'm sorry,
invited
what's
and
the
welcome.
day- oh,
to
it's
come
in
out.
here.
April 17th, Thursday, April 17th. It'll be held at the Civic Auditorium from 6 to 8 p.m. So please come and join us if you have the opportunity.
Okay.
Great. Any other staff comments? George?
Just let you all know, I'm not sure if you're aware, we've had 3 staff departures. Although we had Dave, now we've got 3 staff departures. I don't know if there's a correlation, but Bertha Albright, who is our receptionist, is leaving or has left for a better opportunity at Glendale Water and Power. Kathy Katowski, who was staffing the commission, left to go to the library for a promotional opportunity. Richard, who's sitting in for her, is not going to be back. And you know that Eve Rappaport, who's our arts and culture person, left for Torrenson for a promotional opportunity there as well. So we've got some gaps, and we'll have to deal with it and get some replacements. But just to let you know, if things slow down a little bit, maybe that may be the reason. That's about it.
Well, hopefully they're going to enjoy their promotions. It's great working for the city and as a stepping stone moving on. That's great. It's always nice to help people promote. Any other comments? Okay, do we have any written communication?
I have none.
Okay, then we're going to adjourn the meeting almost within record times, or staying within our limit. We're adjourned.